Hello everyone, this is part 5 of What If Naruto Was Like Gaara, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. Naruto awoke to the bright sunlight coming through his window. I've got to think about getting a blind for that thing, he thought as he sat up. Suddenly a sharp burning pain pulsed through his body like it was on fire. He let out an ear-splitting yell that was heard clear into the forest. What's happening? He said as he fell back to his bed. Sweat glistened on his exposed upper body. He started to breathe heavily. It had been like this for the last couple of days. The pain was slowly reaching intolerable levels. As quickly as the pain hit him, it left. What the hell? He said as he got to his feet. His body felt lighter somehow, as if he'd been wearing weights and was just now taking them off. He looked his body over to see that his muscles had become more defined, and slightly larger, like the body of a lightweight boxer. He then walked over to his dresser and pulled out his usual uniform. When he tried to pull them on, he found that they had become very tight. Showing off his defined physique, he sighed as images of Sasuke wearing a similar garb passed through his mind. Sasuke was chased by Sakura and Ino for about 12 hours before he finally lost them. At that time Naruto used to laugh and smile, and boy did he ever that day. Man, what the hell is going on? I look like an adult who's been training for 10 years, thought Naruto. A small chuckle was heard from the back of his mind. Kyuubi, is this your doing? Asked Naruto. This earned him another fit of laughter in his mind. Yes Kit, it is my doing, call it a gift, said Kyuubi. What do you mean a gift? Thought Naruto. You'll see Kit, said Kyuubi. His laughter echoed through Naruto's mind. Naruto sighed, hoping that no one would notice his sudden change. Then again, it might lead me to a chance for an early morning king spree, thought Naruto as the dark thought crept into his mind. He then pulled on his shoes and walked out the door. Konoha greeted him with the usual glares which he ignored. Until he noticed he was being followed. He turned to see a little girl carrying a teddy bear. He could see her face was stained with tears. He then walked back to her and knelt down beside her. What's the matter? He asked in a whisper. I see, can't find my mommy, she wailed. Naruto covered his ears. The shriek she was giving off was like nails against a chalkboard. Hey, calm down. If I help you find your mother, will you stop wailing? Asked Naruto, slightly annoyed. The girl nodded. What does she look like? Asked Naruto. She's about half as tall as a telephone pole. She's got blonde hair and green eyes, said the girls. Naruto took a good look at the girl. She had blonde, red hair. Her eyes were the brightest shade of green he'd ever seen. Her face was round and kind looking. She was wearing a small pink dress. She clutched her brown teddy bear like it was her lifeline. Naruto then looked around, trying to find someone that looked similar to the girl. No one around here even came close to her description or looked like the girl. Naruto then reached out and picked the girl up. People that were watching gasped as if he were going to kill her right then and there. Then Naruto did something they hadn't expected. He raised the girl over his head and placed her on his shoulders. Here you go, now you'll be able to see your mom better, said Naruto as he walked her through the area looking for any woman that matched her description. Hey, what's your name, by the way? Asked Naruto. This caused the little girl to bend over his head so that she was looking at him upside down. My name's Misu Makoni, Mr. Whiskers, said the girl. Mr. Whiskers, said Naruto with a slight chuckle. Yeah, you've got whiskers on the side of your face, don't ya? Asked the girl, looking at him confused. Yeah, I guess you're right, I do, said Naruto, feeling his face and acting like he hadn't known they were there before now. This caused the girl to giggle. Then she resumed her post atop his head looking for her mother. Then she spotted her. There she is, mommy, shouted the little girl, waving to a woman wearing a blue and purple kimono. Her face was pointed and stern looking. Her golden blonde hair was tied in a tight bun with 2 senbon needles holding it in place. The woman's attention turned from a look of worry to relief as she saw her little girl atop of someone's head. She couldn't see his face until he made his way through the crowd of staring people. The woman then took the little girl off his shoulders and into her arms and brought her into a loving hug. Mommy, I can't breathe, said the little girl as her face was pressed into her mother's chest. The woman laughed as she released her daughter. "Don't you ever do that again, little missy," said the woman. "Sorry mommy, I got bumped away from you by someone, then I lost you until Mr. Whiskers here found me," said the girl. The woman looked amusingly at her daughter. "Mr. Whiskers," she said with a chuckle. She then looked up to find the person who had brought her daughter back to her. Only to find they were alone minus the people who were walking by them. Was he an angel? Thought the woman as she took her daughter's hand and walked away. Naruto was now walking the rooftops of Konoha. What was that back there? I should have ked her on the spot. Being with those people is making me soft, thought Naruto as he scaled the rooftops to their meeting place at the Team 8 training grounds. When he reached the bridge that they were to wait for Kakashi on, he was met with two completely different looks, one from Hinata, which was a downright stare. The other was from Kiba, who had a mischievous grin on his face. "Man, Naruto been working out lately?" asked Kiba. Hinata just continued to stare. Her eyes were glued to Naruto as one thought kept racing through her mind. "He's hot." Naruto sighed. "Not any more than usual, Kiba. I'm not sure how to explain it, but I woke up this morning to find my clothes were too small," said Naruto. "Too small would be an understatement," said Kiba. He then leaned close to Hinata and whispered, "Do you want him?" This caused Hinata to jump into the thermosphere, getting Kiba to fall on the ground as his laughter exploded. Hinata's face turned the deepest shade of red humanly possible. Naruto looked at her worried. "Hinata, are you all right?" he asked as he walked over to her, then touched her forehead. "You don't have a fever," he said as he put his other hand to his own. This was too much for Hinata. She fell to the ground unconscious with one final thought. "He touched me." Naruto looked at her with worry while Kiba laughed, himself silly. "Hinata, you all right?" asked Naruto. He lightly slapped her face until she woke up. She looked around confused. "What happened?" she asked as she got to her feet. This caused Kiba's laugh to be renewed. Even Akamaru was laughing with him. Suddenly another sound of laughter was heard above them. They looked to a nearby tree to see a blonde-haired girl wearing a white shirt and mini skirt with black shorts underneath that. Beside her was a boy dressed in all black. His face had purple markings on it. They both jumped from the tree. Well, look what we've got here, Temari. A group of little kids and one's lovesick," said the boy. "They should make for a nice warm-up, Kankuro," said Temari as they both jumped from the tree onto the bridge. Then at third person jumped from the tree. His eyes had dark outlines around them like he'd never slept a day in his life. His hair was the darkest red. He wore a brown shirt with red pants. Please correct if I'm wrong, I haven't watched the old Naruto anime in a while. A giant gourd was tied to his back. What it was full of, Team 8 didn't know. His face looked exactly like Naruto's as far as expressions went. It showed no emotions, but had a gleam that said he wanted to kill someone soon. Naruto stared at the boy for several minutes, unable to figure out why his facial expression was so familiar to him. "Well, Akamaru and I are ready for a fight anytime," said Kiba as Akamaru jumped on his back ready to transform, but stopped when Naruto held out his hand. "Something's not right here," he said as he stared at the boy with the gourd on his back. "You and I are the same," said the boy in a monotone voice. "Naruto, he sounds just like you used to," said Kiba. "Used to," said Naruto. He closed his eyes. "Hey Kyubi, what up with this guy? He acts just like I do," thought Naruto. "Our Gaara of the sand, he has an enemy of mine sealed inside him by the name of Shukaku," said Kyubi. Naruto opened his eyes. "So you're a container too," said Naruto. The boy's emotionless face twisted into a grin. "Yes, I am Gaara of the sand, vessel of the one-tailed raccoon demon Shukaku," said Gaara. His voice had gained some enthusiasm. "And just who the heck are you, kid?" asked Temari. "I am Naruto Uzumaki, vessel of the nine-tailed fox demon Kyubi," said Naruto. I know Kyubi means nine-tailed fox in Japanese, but didn't feel like making up a name for him. Temari and Kankuro backed away while Kiba had a shocked look on his face. Hinata began to cry slightly. "I was hoping I'd heard wrong. Naruto is a monster. No, even with the Kyubi, Naruto is still Naruto," she thought firmly. Kiba, on the other hand, had turned a ghostly white. "I'm S. Hinata and I are both S," he thought. Naruto started to glow a bright red as the cork on the gourd around Gaara's back popped off, allowing sand to flow out. One thought ran through both their minds. Blood. Naruto's body was soon enveloped in a shroud of the red chakra that took the form of a one-tailed fox. His whisker marks became more defined, his canines lengthened into fangs, his hands became claws, he then fell on all fours, the single tail swished independently behind him. Gaara's sand surrounded him in a thick haze. Naruto threw his arm forwards as the fox chakra claw extended beyond his boy. Gaara's face showed no fear as a barrier of sand covered his body from the attack. The heat from his chakra caused some of the sand to heat up and turn to glass, falling off to the wayside. Gaara's sadistic smile grew as the heat from the chakra left his sand fell to show Naruto was also wearing the same grin. Then both combatants disappeared, then reappeared. Naruto had his claws dug deep into Gaara's sand-covered arms as he blocked the attack. Then they broke apart, blood ran freely down Gaara's arm while Naruto was unharmed. Gaara then let out a sadistic laugh that echoed throughout the area. So this is what pain feels like. I shall enjoy taking your life, Uzumaki, said Gaara as sand began to cover his body. Before he could do anything else, however, Kakashi appeared in a puff of smoke. Save it for the exams, was all he said before things settled down a bit. Naruto's chakra, while formless, waved around his body. Gaara's sand began to return to his guard once it had done so. The three left in a puff of sand. Kakashi-sensei, what's going on? Asked Hinata. I was going to surprise you three with this. So, the Chunin exams are being held in Konoha this year and I have signed all three of you up, said Kakashi hurriedly as Naruto advanced towards him. Bloodlust was written in his eyes that had returned to their bright blue color. Kakashi-sensei, I want you to train me, said Naruto. Naruto, I think for now you're beyond my ability to train, plus I also have to help Hinata and Kiba. I can't pick favorites now, can I? Said Kakashi with a grin behind his mask. Is there anyone who can train me? Asked Naruto. Actually, Naruto, that the other surprise I have for you, said Kakashi as a puff of smoke appeared behind him. It is I, the sage who has fought and killed thousands of enemies and trained one of the strongest shinobi in the village. Lover and heart throb to women everywhere, the toad sage Jiraiya, said a man dressed in red and gray robes. I've heard of you, said Naruto. His face was emotionless, his eyes showed a readiness to shed the old man's blood right then and there. Alright Naruto, come with me, I've got a few techniques I'm going to teach you before the exams start. They will come in handy when you face Gaara again, said Jiraiya. Auto FN, I know Jiraiya didn't show up till after the first two parts of the exam, but this is how it's going to happen. Naruto nodded and followed the toad sage away from the training grounds while Kakashi started to bark orders as to what he wanted his remaining teammates to do. They soon came to a large clearing in the middle of the forest. Alright kid, for the first thing I'm gonna teach you is summoning, said Jiraiya. Sounds good, said Naruto unenthusiastically. Jiraiya then pulled out a large scroll and unrolled it to a blank part. Now prick your finger, then sign your name in blood. After that, place blood on the tips of your other fingers and press them into the scroll, said Jiraiya. Naruto nodded, then pulled out a kunai and SD his thumb, then signed his name, then pressed his blood-covered fingertips to the scroll. Jiraiya then rolled the scroll up. Good, you are now under contract with the summoning toads, said Jiraiya. Now what? Said Naruto unimpressed. Now I'll show you the hand signs, then you're going to attempt a summoning, said Jiraiya, showing Naruto the hand signs. Naruto gathered his chakra, then preformed the hand signs. There was a large puff of smoke as a giant toad as tall as a 50-story house appeared below him. Oh no, he's summoned Gamabunta, thought Jiraiya as he hid behind a tree. Jiraiya, where are you? Why have you summoned me? Asked Gamabunta. Hey, he didn't summon you, I did, called Naruto from atop the giant toad's head. Don't lie to me kid, now where is that perverted hermit, said Gamabunta. Naruto started to glow bright red as the Kyuubi's chakra leaked out slightly. I am the one who summoned you and I ask that you and your subordinates obey me, said Naruto as the fox shroud appeared. You're powerful kid. Very well, my subordinates and I will follow your every command, said Gamabunta before disappearing in cloud of smoke. Naruto fell to the ground without injuring himself. The Kyuubi's chakra had receded back into the seal. I'm impressed kid, not only were you able to summon Gamabunta but you can also control the Kyuubi's power within you and him as well, said Jiraiya with a grin on his face. Minato, your son is just as you hoped he would be, minus the want to K so much, thought Jiraiya. Alright, that's done, what's next? Asked Naruto. Jiraiya threw a water balloon at him. Use your chakra to make this pop, said Jiraiya. Naruto nodded. There was a swishing sound coming from within the balloon, then it burst. Jiraiya then tossed him a rubber ball. Now do the same thing with this, said Jiraiya. It wasn't even a second later when he heard the ball burst. Incredible, he's already mastered 2 of the steps already, thought Jiraiya, handing him an air-filled balloon. Now put together the 2 techniques that you used from the first 2 exercises, but don't let this balloon pop, said Jiraiya. Naruto nodded again. Naruto started to perform the 2 exercises that he had been asked to do at the same time. It took him a few seconds, but the balloon in his hand never burst. Naruto then looked at Jiraiya with a smirk on his face. Incredible, Naruto, do you know the technique you've just mastered in less than an hour? Asked Jiraiya. Naruto shook his head. It's called the Rasengan. It was technique created by the 4th Hokage. Unfortunately, he never finished it, said Jiraiya. Yeah, so what's so special about it anyway? Asked Naruto. Well, Naruto, what took you about an hour to complete took the 4th and I 3 years, said Jiraiya. I've always been a quick study, said Naruto, shrugging his shoulders. Well, Naruto, the exams aren't for 2 more days. I'm gonna train you till then, said Jiraiya. Naruto nodded. Kakashi watched as the white-haired man took his student to some other part of the village for training. Then he turned to Kiba and Hinata. Hey, how come Naruto gets a special teacher? Asked Kiba. Because Kiba, Naruto was handpicked by Jiraiya and he doesn't take students very often, so being chosen by him is a real honor, said Kakashi. Why didn't he take Hinata and I? After all, we're Naruto's teammates, said Kiba. Jiraiya is very picky about the people he trains. He only picked those with certain qualities, said Kakashi. I hope Naruto does well, said Hinata. Don't worry, Hinata, he'll be fine now. Then it's time for your training, said Kakashi as an evil glare appeared on his face. Sensei, are you alright? Asked Kiba, getting a slight worried look on his face while Akamaru had hidden behind his legs. Yes, Kiba, I'm well, thank you. Now then, your training will be very fun, said Kakashi. Why don't I like the sound of that? Asked Kiba. First, Hinata, I'm going to teach you a few ninjutsu attacks, then Kiba, you and I are gonna spar, said Kakashi, getting a slight smirk. Kiba's face went from white to white at these words. His face was white enough to make even snow look dark. Hinata, the first jutsu I'm going to show you is one of my only non-copied technique, said Kakashi, showing her a set of hand signs. Then he braced his right hand with his left as electrical chakra illuminated the area, bathing them in the blue light. Once he had finished the technique, he then smirked at the stunned looks on Kiba and Hinata's faces. What was that? Asked Kiba. That was my technique called the Chidori, said Kakashi. Can I learn it too? Asked Kiba. Sadly, Kiba, no, you can't. You need to possess either a Byakugan or a Sharingan, and you possess neither, said Kakashi. Kiba hung his head in defeat. Don't worry, Kiba, I've got a few techniques to teach you as well, said Kakashi. This caused Kiba to perk up. Akamaru left out a loud bark. Yes, Akamaru, I've got some training for you too, said Kakashi. Naruto didn't meet up with his team until the day of the exams. So Kiba, Hinata, how have you been? Asked Naruto, now wearing looser versions of his old cloths. See, you've gone back to the looser versions of your cloths, said Kiba. Hinata looked at Naruto with a slight disappointed look. Oh, I liked those, he was so hot with those cloths on. No bad, Hinata, keep those thoughts out, she thought. Naruto smirked as he looked his teammates over. They looked like they had improved a great deal in the last 2 days. Soon a bell rang, signaling for the genin to enter the building. Once inside, they found themselves facing 3 doors. Now the room we're looking for is room number 239, isn't it? Asked Naruto. Both his teammates nodded. They then walked up the stairs looking for their room. When they came to rooms 230 to 240 on a plaque, they walked through the hall to see a never-ending corridor. Genjutsu, they all 3 said in unison. Then they focused their chakra and dispelled the jutsu. The corridor suddenly became a normal area. They walked down the hall and found the room they'd been searching for. State your names and team, said a Junin standing in front of them, his face hidden behind a white mask. Naruto Uzumaki, Kiba Inuzuka, and Hinata Hyuga of Team 8, said Naruto. The Junin looked at the chart before him, then nodded and allowed them entry into the classroom-like room. They were each placed at a seat away from one another. Then a man dressed in heavy boots with a black trench coat walked forwards. His head was covered with a bandana to probably cover his apparent baldness. Alright, listen up, because I'm only going to say this once, said the Junin sternly. Everyone in the room paid attention at once. My name is Ibiki and I will be your instructor for this exam. This is a written exam now. You will start off with 10 points. If you miss a question, you will lose 1 point for every question you miss. If you are caught cheating, you will lose 2 points. If you lose all 10 points, you and your team fail and will have to wait till next year to retake them, said Ibiki. Everyone was then handed a paper, pencil and eraser. As many of you have noticed, this room is filled with Chunin and Junin, so they will know if you're cheating. Better not get caught. You will have 1 hour. When 15 minutes are left, I will announce a 10th question. If you miss that, you will fail till next year, said Ibiki. He then looked at the clock, waiting for it to read 9 o'clock. Once the time hit begin, he called. The sound of pencils scraping against paper was soon heard. Naruto looked down at his paper to see it was filled with complicated diagrams and questions. You're on a routine message delivery assignment and you're attacked by an enemy ninja who is in a tree branch 15 feet in the air. If you throw a kunai at the ninja, what degree would you need to throw the knife if you're at a lower angle? Read Naruto. Man, I've never liked this kind of stuff, he thought. Then he looked around at the people around him. When he spotted the sand ninja Gaara, a sudden rage began to shear through his body like a snake. He wanted to kill him right then and there. Number 32 failed, shouted a Chunin to a grass ninja. Numbers 20 and 43 also failed, called the same Chunin. Naruto snapped back to reality, remembering it was a test and his time to fight Gaara would come soon enough. He then started to perform a set of hand signs, then placed his palm flat to the desk. Summoning jutsu, he whispered as a tiny toad appeared out of nowhere. Alright, listen up. I want you to look for a girl with pink hair and a red shirt. She's also wearing a leaf headband. I want you to see what she's writing, then report back to me, whispered Naruto. The tiny toad nodded and disappeared in a shimmer. After 20 minutes the toad reappeared, then he leaped to Naruto's ear and whispered what Sakura had written down. Once he had finished speaking, the toad disappeared in a tiny puff of smoke. Naruto smirked, the kicked back and waited. Kiba with a Kamaru atop his head had no trouble getting the answers to his questions. Hinata, using her Byakugan, also managed to get the answers rather quickly. After the 50 minutes were up, Ibiki spoke again. I will now give you the 10th question. If you wish to leave and wait till next year to retake the test, you will be able to, but if you stay and wish to take the exam, if you miss the question, you will fail and never be allowed to retake the exam, said Ibiki. The scraping of chairs was heard as many people stood up to leave and were failed at once, leaving only a few ninja from the village, hidden in the sand, sound, grass, and mist, and all of the rookie 9, plus 3 other Konoha ninjas. Once everyone had left, Ibiki smirked slightly. This is a little more than I had expected, he thought as he stared at the remaining ninjas. Congratulations, you all pass, said Ibiki. But so what was the 10th question? Asked Sakura. Choosing to stay or leave was the 10th question. The exam itself was to gather information, as a ninja is often given these jobs. It is vital to the success of the mission that the ninja not be caught. But if he is, that he won't abandon his comrades to the enemy, said Ibiki. Suddenly a woman dressed in a Titan trench coat flew through the windows. Ibiki, you're too easy on them. Oh well, I'll weed out more than half of them, said the woman. She wore a black t-shirt with a fishnet shirt on top of that. Fishnet leggings with a black mini skirt. Her purple hair was tied into a ponytail behind her head. It stuck out spiked. Anko, you're early once again, said an annoyed Ibiki, who shook his head looking at the rather attractive woman before him. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.